Welcome back. So for the second half of this week, it was time to start assembling the lower half of the belt drive reduction unit. So here you can see I've got it together. I've got the bearings in there and packed them with grease. And there you can see I've test fitted the pulleys on there, and those pulleys are all bolted together and being torqued and everything. So here on the top you can see you have the stake washer, which is the one with the sort of fingers sticking out, and then above that the stake nut. And so one of the washer tabs, or actually two of them, one on either side, just gets bent in there, and that stops that from ever coming loose. And we got it pretty snug. We may have to adjust it later. Anyway, so there you can see, just put my hand there, you can see how big that unit is. Not that big. And the spline shaft on there, which goes through the pulleys, it also connects up to our LPEX adapter at the back of the engine, but you'll see more of that in a little bit. And here's the first of the cantilever seat mounts that's been laid up. So as you can see, it sort of fits snugly over the keel there and provides nice clean access underneath the seats without having any seat posts or anything like that. And it's fairly rigid, and we're going to be obviously adding the second one in there and then some bracing between the two of them. And here the guys are in the process of adding the heavy layers to both of these aileron spar molds. So you can see the first one's been finished there, and they're just working on finishing off the second one there. And there's Zach just putting some of the heavy layer down in there, working in, and everybody else is just sort of finishing off their little section. And Jeff's got the rollers out there and getting any bubbles, air bubbles out of there. You don't want to have any bubbles in that whole system at all. So anyway, so those are coming along. And here you can see I have the upper half of the belt drive reduction unit bolted into the engine mount frame, and just one of the belts on there right now. So just waiting to bolt up the lower half to see how it all fits. So it's time to start getting on to doing all these wing ribs, and so the first thing we wanted to do now was just get these two for the wing strake that need to be redone. So those ones there that I'm highlighting, and those are the ones that we actually started last time in the video that you saw. And then I'm going to start with the real simple ones here. These are all these triangle ones, so there's basically 3 different ones there, so left and right, so there'll be 6 altogether there. And here you can see I've already cut a bunch of them out there, and the guys are working on just putting sort of a sealer resin on there, so when those things get primed, they don't just absorb all the primer on there and take tons of coats on there. And here's the ones from last time. You see those are in primer now, and getting their second round of sanding. And keep in mind, these are just plugs that we're going to be pulling molds from, so it's not like the actual part itself. Somebody might get confused easily seeing that and thinking, oh, that's the rib and it's pretty heavy because it's MDF, but yeah, that's not what's happening. There's the other one for the straight tank as well. So those ones are coming along nicely. They need a little bit of sanding and stuff, but it's way quicker than creating the whole platform and foam and spray putty and all that sort of stuff in order to create the plug. So there you can see those ones that the guys were sealing. They've already had their primer on there, and so they're ready for some sanding. And to keep the rest of the big stuff moving along, I decided it was time to start on the skins for the foreplane. So this is the lower skin of the foreplane on the right hand side, and you can see there we've got basically 2 different things going on there. The actual skin itself, and the one we're going to mill, which is going to be oversized because it goes all the way inside the fuselage. And here it is with the flanges put on there. So it's a pretty simple one, nothing complicated, and fairly flat, which is good. And here's the guys creating the 2 platforms for those. Just screwing down that the flooring plywood that we have before gluing the foam on there. So it won't be long, and we'll have those up on the machine and getting milled. So still moving along with the big stuff, even though we're sort of doing ribs as well. And here you can see the first one's already done on the machine and milled, and it's got lots of loose foam, so it's difficult to see what's going on there, but basically it's a pretty simple platform really. And there's the second one already underway, so it won't take long and they'll both be done. And now for something completely different, Stan at AeroRock has sent us this little demo panel he's been working on for us. So he's made these custom switch panels for us. You see it even has little Raptors in there for the icons, which is kind of neat. So we're going to be using these switches in an overhead panel, and there's going to be at least a dozen of them that are, you know, different things there. So you see he's got this thing working, so you press the battery master there, all the switches kind of light up there, so you can, you know, see them in the dark. And of course there's a dimmer there, so you can adjust sort of how bright they are in the off position, which is kind of neat. And they actually have different colors on there. See, the battery is green and then the other ones are white. And see, when you turn it on there, it actually gets brighter, which is kind of neat. And there's one for the strobes and taxi, and you can see the starter. That's the one you just sort of push it and it sort of clicks in and out, so it doesn't, you know, momentary on. And then avionics master, and then he's got one for door seals there, which is blue, and a pitot heat, which is kind of like a reddy pink color. So we'll be using those, which is kind of neat, and it was nice of him to put that together for us. So I need to make a panel for that, and just for the prototype I decided to 3D print it, and as you can see it's most of the way done here. And unfortunately on this one, because of the way I did it, just, you know, really threw it together quickly. Those little sort of bits sticking out there are kind of bouncing along, and ultimately it came out a little bit messy on those transitions there, and you can kind of see that. So I'm actually getting sorted out to do that again. But there you can see we've got room for 15 switches, and this will be in the overhead console. And, you know, we'll give it a quick sanding, we'll prime it and paint it black so it sort of matches the carbon of the overhead console. But yeah, it won't be this one, it'll be the new one that I'm you know, printing up over the weekend. And here you can see in SolidWorks, this is basically, you know, what I did there, and you can see now I've added these extra panels in there that I'm highlighting there, so they're going to sort of bridge and add extra support and stop it from moving around when it's, you know, printing those transitions between the switches there. So that one's up on the 3D printer now, and it'll be finished probably by Sunday. Yeah, there you can see it's really starting to come together now. So there's the upper drive in there, and there's the lower drive, and the LPEX in there, just with a couple of bolts just sort of holding it onto the flywheel, but it's not really bolted on yet. And just one of the belts on there right now just to test fit it. Obviously both of them won't fit because of that misalignment. That new pulley arrived, and it's been already taken over to the guys across the way there to machine it next week. So it's coming together nicely, and things are fitting together and lining up nicely. I don't even think we're going to have to make any adjustments there. We'll still have the tensioner in there, but the belt already has a pretty nice bit of tension on there, so it's coming together well. Anyway, next week we have 4th of July, Tuesday, so no one will be working. I'll actually be in on Monday doing some things, so maybe I'll put together a little quick video for Tuesday evening. Anyway, thanks again for watching.